Welcome. So, you're thinking about buying your first home. That is a huge deal, one of the biggest and most exciting journeys you'll ever go on. And like any great expedition, having a clear map makes all the difference.
And if you're here, my guess is it's definitely on your mind. But you might also be feeling a little swamped. I mean, there are so many steps, so much jargon, and a ton of decisions to make. And you know what? That is completely normal. That's exactly why we're going to frame this whole thing as an adventure. And the best part? We've got the map. We're going to walk through the entire process step by step and turn what seems like a really complex journey into a clear, manageable road trip right to your new front door.
Okay, let's get into it. Before you even think about looking at houses online, and I know it's tempting, our first stop is the most important one, figuring out if you're financially ready. This is, without a doubt, the foundation for the entire journey. See, when you go to get a mortgage, lenders don't just guess. They have a very specific formula to figure out how much you can actually comfortably afford, and it all boils down to two key numbers. So the first one is your gross debt service ratio, or GDS for short. Just think of this as your housing costs checkpoint. It's basically the percentage of your income before tax that's going to be eaten up by your mortgage, property taxes, heat, and if you're looking at a condo, about half of the condo fees. And here's the magic number you need to remember. Generally speaking, lenders want to see that GDS ratio at or below 32%. This just shows them that your main housing costs aren't going to stretch you too thin and that you'll have money left over for, well, life. But that's only half the story. As you can see here, besides your GSD ratio on the left, lenders also look at your total debt service ratio, or TDS. This one is the big picture. It takes all those housing costs and then adds all your other monthly debts on top. We're talking car payments, credit cards, student loans, the whole thing. And for that, the magic number is 40%. Lenders want to see your total debt stay below that mark. It gives them a complete snapshot of your financial health.
All right, so once you've got a handle on your financial situation, our next major stop is getting the money. And that means it's time to dive into the world of mortgages.
Now, this is probably the most famous number in Canadian real estate, 20%. This is the big one. It's the key threshold for your down payment, and whether you're above or below this number changes everything.
Here's why that 20% is so important. If your down payment is less than that, you are required by law to get something called mortgage default insurance. And listen, this part is absolutely crucial. This insurance protects the lender if you can't pay. It does not protect you. It's basically the price you pay to get into the market with a smaller down payment.
Okay, so you also have some big choices to make about the mortgage itself. You've got your fixed rate, which is perfect if you want your payments to be predictable and stable. Then there's the variable rate, which could save you money if rates drop, but you have to be okay with some uncertainty. And then you've got to choose between a closed mortgage, less flexible but usually a better rate, and an open one, which lets you pay the whole thing off early if you want. It really all comes down to what you're comfortable with. All right, let's get to the part everyone loves. Your finances are sorted, you've got a mortgage pre-approval ready to go. Now it's time to actually find your place on the map. So in Canada, you don't just buy a house. It's a little more complicated than that. You're actually buying a specific type of ownership, and the three main types you're going to come across are freehold, condominium, and cooperative. Let's break down the two most common ones. With freehold, think of a classic detached house. You own the building, the land it's on, everything. That means you have total freedom, but it also means you're responsible for every single repair. Then you have a condominium. With a condo, you own your private unit, but you share ownership and the maintenance cost of all the common areas, like the lobby or the gym. That means you'll pay monthly fees and have to follow some rules, but hey, you don't have to shovel the snow. So you've done it. You found the perfect place. The search is over. What now? Well, now you've got to make your move. This is the part where you put your destination down in writing by making an offer. And an offer to purchase is not just some casual note. It is a serious, formal legal document. The second that seller signs on the dotted line and accepts your offer, you are in a legally binding contract. So yeah, this is a really big step. So a smart, strong offer usually has two key parts. First, you'll want to add conditions. Think of these as your safety nets. It means your offer is only solid if, for example, your financing gets officially approved or if the home inspection doesn't find any major problems. Second, you'll put down a deposit. This is a chunk of money that basically proves to the seller that you're serious and you have some skin in the game. We are so close. The offer is accepted. You can see the finish line. But hold on.
before you start buying boxes, there's one last part of the map we need to look at: the closing costs.
Honestly, this is what catches a lot of first-time buyers by surprise. The price you agreed to pay for the house is not the final number, not even close. There's a whole bunch of other fees and taxes, all bundled together as closing costs that you have to budget for separately.
And here's a look at what they are. You've got things like land transfer tax, which can be a big one, legal fees for your lawyer to handle all the paperwork, the cost of that home inspection, title insurance, even smaller things like getting your utilities hooked up. These can easily add up to thousands of extra dollars, so you absolutely have to be ready for them.
And just like that, you've done it. You navigated the financing, you found the perfect spot, you made a winning offer, you paid all the costs, and you have crossed the finish line. You've followed the map, and you have arrived. Congratulations, you're a homeowner. So we've laid out the entire route for you, from that first financial reality check all the way to getting the keys in your hand. The path is clear. The only question left is, where and when will your journey begin?